Okay. This,
Yep.
is this fine?
Can you stand back a little?
Uh,
A little more. Yeah, I want to get your head too. Right there. That's good.
This is better?
Yeah, that's perfect. Okay. Hi. Welcome to Detours Understanding Acquired Brain Injury. And with us, we have, as you can see, Julie. Hi.
How is everyone?
Okay. And so what we're talking today about is finding purpose and meaning. There are a lot of different ways to find purpose and meaning. And Julie, so we'll just have an open conversation like we often do, a heart to heart, as it were. So, as you know, it's like it could be difficult to find meaning. You know, it's like especially after brain injury. I mean, it's hard enough because we're often tasked with finding meaning as kids or like when we're going to school or whatever. But for us with brain injury, we have to search, figure out who we are all over again after our brain injury because many times we'll lose our job or lose friends and family, stuff like that. And so we're just, you know, have an open conversation about finding our purpose again after brain
That's
injury.
great. That's great. I'm in that place where I'm not sure that I've found it yet, but I'm still looking and I'm still trying and I don't intend to give up trying. So that's what I wanted to share with the viewers and Mark and everyone. I used to be an actuary. I can't do the vocation I had before. And so I, I do yoga. I do things for my landlord. I just do different things. So, and I'm lucky. I could have been a vegetable and I'm not. So, and as Mark and I were saying earlier, some people don't trust me because of my brain injury, and it does hurt me a little bit. But then I say to myself, well, I can't. I'm doing my best, so I don't know what else I can do. So
And sometimes that's all you can do.
yeah,
I think for me, it's like it took a long time for me to figure out because I couldn't do what I did before. I spent a lifetime learning to do what I did, and for guys and for women nowadays too. Your a lot of your definition of who you are is based on what you do, and I couldn't go back to school to finish up my training. I was only partly done. You know, I was close to being done with my PhD, but then I would have had to do more training after my doctorate in neuropsych. So I was very lost. How was it for you when you realized you couldn't be an actuary?
right. I was worried about my son's education primarily because that was a big part of my life. So I wanted to know that his education would be paid for. I was the breadwinner in my family, and we were very lucky. He got a grant from somebody, a loan type of thing, but it was, help pay for his college education. So one of my good friends helped him do that, I think. I'm saying I think I don't even know exactly how it happened, but I saved money for my son for his college and such, but I mean I don't make enough money to pay for him to go to college for 4 years. So his
Right.
dad does some, so but
I,
I don't know what his dad does, and it's okay. I mean, it's not the way it was when we were together, but nor is it supposed to be. I think.
what did you think for yourself? I mean, I know you used to travel around because you were a senior actuary, you know, in a senior actuarial
Oh,
position.
thanks.
And what
Yeah,
did you think for?
I traveled a fair bit, and I consider that just lucky days. I've had a lot of lucky days. One of them was seeing the Taj Mahal
Wow,
in India, and it was just
that's awesome.
breathtakingly beautiful.
The one thing I notice and that I've always been impressed with you is you have an attitude of gratitude for what you have. So many people with brain injury are always just so angry and bitter about what they've lost, but
Oh,
they're not grateful for what they had before. You know, they're and I've always loved that about you is that
well,
you
thank you,
have
Mark.
something that's rare, which is that attitude of I'm grateful for what I had. At least I got to do this. So many don't have that. They don't look at what they had before and say, you know what, at least I had that at some point.
Yeah, no, I was told I would be a vegetable
Right.
if I had a cardiac arrest, not to repeat myself the 100th time, but
It's
and
true.
I'm not a vegetable. I'm a fine person. And while
Yeah.
I'm not married anymore, I have a great son, a
Hmm.
super family that supports me, and I have Mark and the team with you, Mark, that support me. And you know, I can't work as an actuary anymore. I just can't because of my cardiac arrest brain injury, but I can do other things to help people. So I've been to the church and fed people that are homeless in Hartford, and that's very satisfying. I think, and it was eye opening and satisfying. So
You are an extraordinary case of 90%. As I said this in the cardiac arrest video, 90% of those who have cardiac arrest die. 9% end up severely, severely disabled. You are that 1%, one out of 100, who have what's called a good recovery. And the thing is, the fact that you're able to care for yourself at home and you're able to do things like this is extraordinary. That doesn't happen.
thank you.
If you want to talk about a miracle, you are one of those. And I don't use the
Thank
term
you.
lightly. I don't, because there are a lot of things you could say, well, statistically, this or that, or this happens this way from a medical perspective, but your situation is extraordinary. And so it's very neat to have you, not only here helping us out, but also as a friend, because, like I said, it is something that is not something that happens commonly.
Oh,
It's
thank you for
remarkable.
your gracious comments. I appreciate them,
Um,
and I'm glad I can be helpful to somebody. That's when I was an actuary, I wanted to help people,
well,
but that, being an actuary is kind of a numbers geek, and you
right.
don't think of that as helping much. But I decided to be a health actuary because I thought I knew my mother and father could use health insurance, and I was lucky that I was able to do it. So
And this leads back to do you ever reflect on, like, it's like, say, being a health actuary, you're part of your own statistics, you
oh
know,
yeah,
the irony of it.
it's peculiar at least. Yeah.
Uh, Yeah, well, for me too, because I've been told, oh, you were studying brain injury and neuropsychology, and you end up being a survivor of brain injuries. Don't you think that's kind of interesting? It's like, oh yeah, it's like, yeah, this is exactly, but it happens sometimes. It's just,
Yeah, it's unusual. It's unusual to survive a cardiac arrest as well as Mark mentioned I did, but I feel thankful that I did, and I believe in a higher power, and I thank my higher power regularly for it.
yeah. Well, it's a very, like I said, it's a very unusual thing, and a lot of doctors are gloom and doom about it. But the fact of the matter is, most patients don't make not only from
Yeah,
cardiac arrest, but TBI and all these other things. And you're one of those who survive. This is why there's not as much research on cardiac arrest and long-term, effects of it. We know certain things. We know about dysexecutive syndrome, about problems with executive function, organizing, planning,
yeah,
like things like that, you've mentioned you have problems with that, and so do I, due to my traumatic brain injury. But we've mentioned, those deficits. You have memory problems, which are very bad for in cardiac arrest survivors. They usually have pretty serious memory deficits. Um,
very significant.
yeah, which is part of why you can't be an actuary anymore for your memory deficits as well as the executive problems.
Right.
Um, but despite that, you do it, you know. So what do you find gives you meaning?
Gives me meaning. I think just being alive gives me meaning.
Mm,
And
fair.
I haven't thought about that for too long, as you can tell by the quickness of my answer. But
But it's a
Just,
fair answer.
I didn't hear you,
I
sorry.
said, it's sorry, it's a fair answer. It is a
Yeah,
fair answer.
yeah, I mean, I think there is something to be said for recognizing how beautiful life is. And I'm
Mm,
trying to do that more than I used to. Because I used to run. And I don't mean running for exercise, I meant
yeah, yeah, no,
rush to
no, no,
get
I get
things
it.
done. And now I'm trying to say how beautiful things are. And I had a peer who had a bad injury because she got hit by an automobile riding a bicycle.
Hmm.
And I said to her husband, she was and will always be one of my great friends. She's passed away now to the next plane.
Yeah.
And I said to her husband, she helped me so much when I
Uh,
ran. She used to cheer me on, like, and she was my age, but she was just so gracious and welcoming and loving. It was just lovely. And I consider that one of my greater blessings, that and my son, as mentioned, and my family. I love them heaps, and I'm glad if I can help somebody.
yeah. Well, you're an important friend to me too. Um,
Thank you, and you to me.
and so, it's like I think one of the advantages of brain injury is that it does, because it slows you down, it makes you reflect more on those kind of the little things. Because we are conditioned to hurry, hurry, the next thing, the next thing, the next thing, and you miss everything. I was talking with a friend of mine, Kate, and she mentioned this on her, some of the gifts of brain injury. One of them is that forcing you to slow and look around, take your time, think about stuff, think about what's important.
Yeah, yeah, and I consider myself fortunate to have that time because I didn't used to make time. I made time to run and
Mhm.
take care of my son, but I didn't make time to watch the grass grow, and I'm making that up, but I
No,
mean,
I know what you mean.
it's neat. It's really neat how nature is, and I consider nature one of the greater gifts that we've been given
Oh,
from the
definitely.
heavens. And yeah, so I don't know, just take more time to feel compassionate toward others who need compassion, and even those who don't think they do, perhaps. But yeah, I'm lucky that I have that time anymore,
Yeah, and it can be difficult sometimes, especially if you're mad about what happened. And I find usually that kind of wisdom doesn't come right away. A lot of people with brain injury, it takes some time because you have to process what happened. I'm sure it took you a while to process, what
Oh, it's
happened to
taken
you.
me
It
a
did for
long
me.
time. And I'm not done processing, and I know
Oh
I'm
no,
not. I know I'm not. It's just been a hard road. It's a bumpy road, but it has a lot of beauty. It also has a lot of hardship. I mean, but I just appreciate it for what it is. So,
you're such a positive person, and it's like that is something. When I talked to Joyce, we did a video about the need to find positivity, and that gives you life. That breathes, life into you. And finding a way to, part of the reason behind this channel is to give back, for those people who saved me and who saved not just my body, but my mind, my soul. Uh,
yeah,
because I'd been in some really dark places after my brain injury.
yeah. I've been thinking lately, and you might know more about this, Mark, than that, and it's a little bit changing the subject from dark places, but we don't know it. We don't know enough about the brain.
Oh, heavens no.
And I think the brain is greater than I can fathom at this time in my life.
Than any of us understand. We really don't understand the brain, not at all. It's interesting. I look at all the books I've got and everything else, the research, but there's we really don't understand. We've gone from theory to theory, um, but it's a great mystery. Um,
Yeah.
and we can do little things to help fix some of the symptoms that come with like brain injury and things, but we really can't cure. So when, I would get questions from people, patients, things like that, um, we really don't like have answers for like, can you fix my brain injury? Am I going to get better? Honestly, I don't know. You might improve, but there's no cure. And your brain injury is probably permanent. If it's bad enough you're asking me and you've seen my stuff, it's probably permanent. How
Yeah.
much better? I mean, again, as I said about you, you've made a remarkable recovery.
Oh,
Do you
thank
you
you.
have a lot of deficits? Yeah, you have a fair number of disabilities, but that's okay. You still can do a lot.
Able to
And
do it. Yeah.
yeah, and your intelligence.
Thank you. My battery's dying in my phone.
Um,
Sorry.
no, that's okay. You know, um,
You want to
so
go until
what'd you say?
you want to go until it just dies?
Yeah, if we can, and then just
Okay.
plug it in and so we my thing is like, what do you think would be are good goals for people with brain injury to search for their purpose, their meaning?
My first reaction to that question was happiness
Okay.
and satisfaction. Pretty parallel, and I think happiness and like I'm seldom satisfied with who I am, but I'm trying to let myself be more satisfied with who I am. And I'm not who I was, no, but I'm not a bad person either. And so, I mean, and then and then I find happiness and joy, and I enjoy giggling. I giggle, have a good giggle,
Yeah,
and I enjoy it.
I like when you laugh.
Yeah, Mark likes my giggle too.
Yeah,
So yeah, I
it's
mean, it's one of the greater gifts I've been given is that I
yeah,
can laugh.
it's
You know,
it is contagious.
thank
Your
you,
laugh is
thank
contagious.
you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Um,
yeah, I'm trying to like. There used to when I was a little girl, my mother and or might have been my grandmother and father sang the song Inchworm,"
oh,
and
oh yeah,
and I don't know if you've ever heard that song or
I
not. I
have.
can't
Yes.
repeat it, but it's just like inch by inch, little by little.
I mean, that's a fundamental truth. And a lot of things we learn as kids, become important again because we are starting over again with brain
Yeah,
injury. And, oh, I do think that is a very important, lesson to learn, to just persist from those lessons to, being kind and being compassionate, being generous and warm of heart.
yeah, graciousness or gratitude maybe is a better word, but
Yes. Yeah, no, that's a good one.
and I think kindness is a big deal.
Um, Now I can still hear you even if you can't hear me. So even if your battery goes, you can still talk.
Oh, okay. Okay,
So
good.
just share your thoughts, if you wish to
Okay.
preserve some power. Um,
Yeah, I think gratitude is a big deal, and I also think that being kind to others, my son is when he was younger, I'd call it 10 years ago, he was about 12 or whatever. And I said to him, look, are there some people in your school who don't eat lunch? And he said, well, yeah, there are. And I said, well, have you ever thought of giving them your food?
hmm,
And he said, well, no. I said, well, I'm asking you to.
to share.
Please think to. I
Yeah,
said, even if you choose not to, at least consider it.
right.
And I think your father's going to feed you at home. And
Yeah,
if he
no,
doesn't, I am. So
No, that makes sense. And one of the other things is to recognize, that, to recognize to ask for our help ourselves, as well as to, like, always be searching for ways where we can make a positive difference. It doesn't have to be a big difference. Even a little one matters.
Yeah, you're right. Thank you, Mark. It does matter.
Yeah, and searching for a purpose. You have several. You had shared with me several things that you,
Oh, I did.
yeah,
I didn't remember, but
that's all right, Ben, and like doing some of this stuff, for example.
yeah, yeah. I'm glad I'm able to.
Yeah, and you had mentioned about Ben too, your son. That's
Yeah,
a very big kind of way you make a difference too.
he is a big part of who I am. Yeah, I'm lucky I had him.
What'd you say?
I'm lucky I had them.
Oh, yes.
Because I almost wasn't able to, and then it, there comes Ben.
And and the little ways include, like, doing this. You
Yeah.
know, um, do you? I am curious. Do you feel that you've made an impact this way, and have we been able to help you?
Well, you had more today than I recall before because you told me, pointedly said to me, well, it does make a difference to people and that matters to me. Because I don't recognize those things, and because of my brain injury, I don't remember them either. So every day when I get up, I have to make a pact to myself to say, you matter, type of thing.
Yes, you do matter, and it's an important thing to, and that would be something to encourage other folks to do. You matter. You know.
Yeah, yeah. I think it would be good for everyone to know they matter, and to have the confidence to say to yourself, I matter to me.
Yes.
And I do matter to me. I said, I won't be treated poorly by somebody while I
Yes.
do have a brain injury. That won't happen. And if
Yes.
it does, I'm handling it in a way that's not going to be too good for
Part
the
of
other person.
Yeah, no, I would say part of it is what you won't accept as well as what you will, and not letting other people walk on you. And that takes time too, because our
Yeah,
confidence is usually shaken.
yeah. Oh, it is. That's not uncommon anymore to have confidence shaken.
So how did you deal with that? How did you build your confidence back up? I know you still are working on it, but what were things you did to?
There's gravies. I don't even know, but I went to Ben's school once, and they had a they were having an auditorium session and learn what they were teaching or something like that. So I said to them, well, would you consider teaching something differently than you have? Because my son is struggling. My son found it hard. And that was just one example of how I had hoped I could make a difference to the teaching community in my in my school system. But that that's just one example. But and then I I also let people go in front of me in line. You know how people get busy at the grocery store, and I'm not that busy, to be honest. So I I let people go in front of me if they're in a rush. And
Mm.
they're little things, they are. But if they help somebody, maybe that is a difference. I'm not sure
So
what the
a little
difference is.
balance of this and that, basically. Helping people, but also helping people, but speaking when you think things need, so the courage to try.
Yeah, the courage is a great word. Yeah,
Yeah,
I love that word. We all
and
have to have courage to do what we need to do sometimes.
yeah, being courageous is important. I,
Yeah,
you know, and you display that every day you get up, and you fight for, doing this
Oh,
takes courage.
thank you.
Being on video takes courage. A lot of people, that I've asked, they're anxious about, just showing up on video. You're being courageous here.
Thank you. Yeah, I didn't think of it that way, but I appreciate that you spoke those words.
It is, it is the truth. It is courageous to stand up and share your story. A lot of people are afraid to share, their history, anything else like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And so these are little steps you could take towards finding what you're supposed to do. And I don't think, I've never believed there's like some grand destiny that anyone has. I think it is, you discover it by trying. Get up and try, get up and try, get up and try. And something, like I said, I believe part of your destiny is helping educate people with brain injury, like you're doing now.
Oh, yeah. I don't doubt that you're wrong. I think you're right, spot on.
Yep.
Thank
And
you for telling me. Thank you for saying those words that you just mentioned because I don't have such eloquence that you do, but I appreciated hearing it from you, Mark. So thank you.
I tend to like lose some of that when it gets late, when I get tired, which is another reason I like doing these in the morning, because
Yeah,
just like everyone else with brain injury, I kind of like later in the day,
yeah.
my words turn to poop. But yeah. So,
Everyone knows the word is go.
oh heck yeah. But it's like I've always felt that, it's like probably the thing that allows us to heal most quickly as survivors is finding our purpose. Is there anything you would want to share, either with survivors or with survivor family members, about like finding purpose again after somebody has a brain injury? Like, I think
Mm,
that's
I
important.
think try not to get despondent.
Mm,
Don't give up. That's something that I'd like to share because it's easy to. It's hard. It's
yeah,
really hard. And everybody's different and we all have to be proud of who we are just for waking up in the morning, I guess.
yeah, that's definitely true. And some people quit right away, and some family members quit when they're a survivor right away. Some, I hate to mention, it's like, as you pointed out, you're divorced. I mean, your husband kind of quit, and that's
Yeah.
just, that
It's
makes me kind of sad. It's like,
made me sad, but it's fine. Ben's a good Ben and
yeah, you've got what matters. You still have connection with Ben, but it's unfortunate, and I would urge, like spouses and things, give the survivor a chance, to get to be able to, because they're searching too. They're searching hard, and everyone's looking. So it's like, work together. I mean, yes, there are sometimes behaviors and things like that that make it hard, and that kind of makes sense. But if it's not about you in danger, if you're not being hit or something like that, if it's just, not the dream you wanted, seldom in life does that happen. So, it's like, maybe give the graciousness to the survivor that they need. And ultimately, if it still isn't working, well, but it's important to be there to help, you know, to give love and compassion and kindness.
well said. Thank you, Mark. Yeah, I think I've been very fortunate because of my family and they haven't given up on me. I'm closer to some than others because I have a big family.
Hmm.
And but it's okay. They haven't given up on me. So and nor will I on myself. So, some like this, for example, neural fatigue or whatever the right words are, you
Hmm.
know more than I. But I'm tired. And it hasn't been that long that I've been talking to you. I'm
Yeah,
tired already.
yeah,
So
and
it's okay. I don't have to run a marathon today. I can do something low key and enjoy my afternoon. And
well, yeah, and that's
I'm
just
glad
it.
this
It is. One of the things I would recommend is always find out, because usually when you're when you are emotionally tired is different from when you're physically tired or cognitively tired. So it is important to recognize these different times, especially like in the early days, is to learn when you have fatigue of the mind, of the body, and keep track of it with notebooks or things like that when you have your
Yeah,
different peaks, so you can schedule things. So if it's something like this, which is more physically tiring versus emotionally or whatever, it's really important.
yeah, yeah, thank you. You've taught me a lot about that, and I appreciate you for it.
Of course, that's part of our friendship. And, it's
Yeah,
like this is part of my purpose, is to help teach about brain injury and what people can do to make things better. I mean, I've battled brain injury for 30 years.
mhm,
Um, and it's like I've learned a lot of tricks and things that work for traumatic brain injury work for acquired brain injury. For yours technically isn't defined as a traumatic brain injury because it wasn't a mechanical trauma. You were not hit. Your brain wasn't shaken physically. It
mhm.
it
That's
was due,
mine.
huh?
Is mine acquired?
Yes, yours is definitely acquired. You weren't born like this. It
Oh,
happened to you, but it is a non-traumatic acquired brain injury by definition.
thank you.
When they say traumatic, they mean mechanical force. So it's something,
Uh-huh.
a mechanical force, like a car accident, hit in the head with a baseball bat, or a gunshot wound, or something mechanical from outside happened to. When your heart stops, you have a lack of oxygen, and
Yeah,
so that is a biochemical process. That is something that happened due to something that happened inside your body. And most people get that confused. They're like, oh, well, gee, it's all traumatic. It made me upset. And it's like, no, that's not the kind of trauma we mean. We mean mechanical trauma, so a mechanical force.
mhm,
And in your case, it was biochemical due to a disruption the way your heart worked.
yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
That was very clear and understandable.
Well, it's like this is a clarification I should have made, for on one of our videos, and I haven't. I need to make a video about that topic. But,
Yeah,
it's like in the end, all of us, whether it's due to a car accident like mine, whether it's due to your heart stopping like yours, or whether it's due to an infection of the brain, which can happen, sepsis or meningitis, encephalitis, one of those kind of things, whatever, we have a lot of the same problems.
mm, we
And
should share solutions.
yeah, and that's what our channel is about. There are many
Yeah,
different people on that channel that have many different problems. Some people have their brain injuries from breathing paint fumes because they worked at like a paint shop, and their
oh,
worker didn't provide their employer didn't provide them with appropriate equipment. Or some people, one guy I met was struck by lightning and has his brain injury from a lightning hit. I've had people, in the group who, like me, motor vehicle accidents, most people, victims of domestic violence, all kinds of different causes. Some had infections, some had both. Debbie, who you were standing in for, she had both. She had a traumatic brain injury and she had sepsis. She caught an infection that went to her brain. So, but my point about bringing this up is we all are looking for purpose again.
yeah, yeah.
So, is there anything you'd like to share or add, as we come to the end of this video here?
I'll just summarize with saying purpose doesn't have to be magnanimous. It can
Yeah.
be something as simple as tying your shoes, washing your face, brushing your teeth, that type of thing. I think purpose can be something very simple. And I just hope people remember that.
Yeah. And, looking for something long range, it can be just make somebody smile for that day,
Yeah.
or being helping people complete, feeling complete. We all imagine some grand purpose, but I don't think the universe works that way, really. I think, there's this theory in history called the great man hypothesis, which is like some certain individual has to fill some great role. Like we wouldn't have won the revolution if it weren't for Washington. Not necessarily. It was really more the French who helped us win the war. So would he have had to have been the one? No, not necessarily. It could have been somebody else. And it was close to being somebody else, actually. He almost wasn't picked. That's a whole other bit of history. But the truth is, we all don't have a specific destiny. Nobody does. We make our destiny. And so it is, can you get your butt off the couch or out of bed every morning, find a reason to do that, like Julie was talking about, and then find your purpose for that day. And you may find that your purpose is something that somebody else sees, even if you don't find it. And that's, at least how I look at it. I don't know,
Well
maybe I'm
said.
wrong,
Well
but
said. Thank you.
I think, like, as I said to you, your purpose to me is, twofold. And you and I have talked about this, helping Ben both to become the man he will be to influence the future in his own way, as well as you educating people. And I think, that that is, just like the other members of our brain injury family, we all
Yeah.
share that in common. Most of us do some of that. Most of us teach and reach people in some way, whether it's talking to someone at the store about it or whether it is, who knows, you may set some kid on a path to come up with some major treatment for brain injury because you touched their life in a way that, you
I'd
know,
love if that were the case, but I don't need to know, but I would love that.
mm, I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. It's a hard, and I don't think there are any like easy answers on that kind of thing, but that's at least how I've always looked at it. And again, I think the lesson from both of us is this does not come fast, easy, or these answers. And many people who don't have brain injury, to be honest, never really explore this or find these answers either. They wander kind of lost in life.
Yeah.
And like, because, they never, I, I, I don't think they see it that way.
Yeah, it's hard to know because we don't know what everyone thinks or sees, but um, I I think I've been fortunate and I appreciate meeting you, Mark, and making these videos to possibly help somebody else.
Yeah, and these videos will be around for a while, and who knows how long. Some very old films and videos. I mean, I've seen stuff that were, like Thomas Edison, uh, like crank films that were around from the 1800s. They're
Yeah,
still around today.
yeah,
Yep, and so who knows how long this will be around? Maybe this will be around long, long, long after we're gone and reach people with brain injury. That's our
yeah.
goal, right?
Yes, it is.
And so hopefully we can inspire people just by being our open, honest selves. And that's why I like these open-hearted discussions that you and I have. You know,
Thank you. I'm glad we did it. I was
yeah,
a little apprehensive, but
mhm,
I'm glad we followed through. Thank you for encouraging me.
yeah. Well, you have valuable insights, and hopefully people hear, these thoughts, and are like, you know what? Yeah, that's what I believe. That's what I want. We're just about done. So, to everyone, I'll say thank you for joining us. And please, if you have any comments, questions, you want to add anything, you want to ask to see for a video to be made by us, like something, please click like, subscribe, send any messages to Julie, or to me, to us at Detours at Understanding Acquired Brain Injury, or to please check out the website too. Um, just
Yeah,
let us know. All right. So
sounds. Thank you, Mark.
thank you, and you take care. Have a good one.
Okay.
We'll see you next time.
Okay,
Bye.
good. Bye.
Bye.